Welcome back to Magny Cours for the opening round of the FIM Sidecar World Championship here at Magny Cours. It's an interesting series in prospect because we've got several top teams in action, including two of the British teams that were doing the front running at Brands Hatch, in a filthy wet Brands Hatch, a very different set of circumstances at the opening round of the Eastern Airways British Sidecar Championship last weekend. The Birchall brothers, Ben and Tom, they've qualified second fastest, but the fastest man out there is Palverinta with Adolf Hani in the chair. The reigning champions going for a hat-trick, going for their third successive championship, ahead of the Birchall brothers, Birchall Racing Yamaha. This is incidentally is not the cross-plane Yamaha that kind of loses a lot of horsepower with having to have certain things done to it to make it work. This is the old Yamaha R1 Screamer that the Birchalls have in there, and they're actually teaming up with having finished a close second, incidentally, to Tim Reeves in the very wet second race at Brands Hatch. Thanks, Tom, we've got that. Mitchells, everybody register that back home, please. They run the old Yamaha R1 Screamer in that. They're teaming up with Klaus Klaffenbach at the TT this year. They've formed a double sidecar, double duo for the TT. The Birchalls have never won there. Klaus, of course, for such a debonair Austrian surprising sidecar racer, really was always mad about the TT and wanted to race there, and has done, and has won 3 times. This is Jörg Steinhausen. He's been around in the World Sidecar paddock for some time now, and of course is a former champion. He's 41 years old now, son of the great Rolf, a former World Sidecar champion himself. And last time he arrived here in 2003, October 2003, for the final round of the World Sidecar Championship, he was actually on a possible hat-trick, having had 2 comprehensive wins at Misano and Imola. And this is Markus Schlosser. He was the cool young dude on the scene at the beginning of this century in the World Sidecar Championships, the Swiss rider, and he has qualified the Schlosser Racing Suzuki in 4th place. A lot of these, of course, are GSXR 1000 Suzukis, usually in LCR frames. And this is the winner of that very wet race at Brands Hatch just a week ago. Tim Reeves, former world champion. He won his first 2 world championships with his kid brother Tristan in the chair. But this time in the sidecar, of course, he's well, I don't know really what happened, whether Tristan just got sick of the travelling or just decided that he wanted to find something else to do. But anyway, he quit sidecar racing, and now the Tim Reeves racing team has Ashley Hawes in the chair in their LCR Suzuki. What about the Team Automotor Turca team? Good heavens. Now there's a bit of tradition. That's a traditional sidecar image. That's what you expect to see of a sidecar team. None of this, you know, swanky, cool, modern nonsense. That was the and that's what you expect of sidecar racing as well. The Hock Racing team of Kurt Hock and Enrico Becker on their Suzuki. We've got pole position then for Team Suzuki Finland, and I've got a feeling that they're going to be pretty determined to win this once again. What I really like about the Finnish Team Suzuki, is Adolf Hani in the chair. That man was just, for me, he was my hero of sidecar racing right at the end of the last century, the early 2000s, because he was always happy, always upbeat, always looked like Lord Kitchener with a magnificent moustache. He was a Swiss, already a bit of a veteran then, and he was always so happy for the success of other people. I remember when Steve Abbott stole the world title with Jamie Biggs, absolutely at the last round, last ditch, and one of the reasons they managed to do that was because I can't remember who Adolf Hani was riding with, but they managed to crucially keep a team behind them, and that helped Abbott to win the championship title. And Hani was just beside himself with joy, clapping Abbott on the back the moment that they'd crossed the finishing line and gone into pit lane. And for Adolf Hani finally to earn a world championship, which he has done for the last 2 years with Pekka Palverinka, that's just really terrific reward, I think. Looking at the number 10 team, the Kraftwerk Racing team. Time to offer a prayer before we start racing. That's an unusual one, especially in this game. Olivia Poucher and Priska Poucher on their Suzuki.
I tell you what, if I was her, I'd be worried about that. I haven't seen my driver actually praying before he was going to start the race. But no, the sidecar people always seem to be a real happy-go-lucky bunch, don't they?
Yes.
Really nice. I went to their dinner presentation for the British Championships at Brands Hatch, actually, at the beginning of this year. And what a great bunch of people they were. Really enjoyed it. Really, it was great. Steve Parrish was there, and it was really enjoyable.
The Hock Racing team doing their stretching. So many of these are built on Louis Christen's LCR chassis, the Swiss chassis builder. 28 championships he's claimed between 1979 and 2011. Initially with Yamaha engines, then Krauser's, but more recently GSX-R 1000 Suzukis have been absolutely dominant in this field.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. GSX-R 1000, I've got a GSX-R 1000 actually, my road bike, and they've got really good mid-range power, and they're quite a powerful engine. You know, top power, not as strong as the BMW, but the mid-range is very strong. And I would have thought the mid-range is really important with these, with carrying two riders. It's funny, it's one of the things I haven't actually raced. One of the few things I haven't actually raced. I've raced cars, I've raced bikes, I've raced motocross, I've raced supermoto, I've raced trucks. I've never ever raced a sidecar. I don't even know if I'd get in one because I'm quite tall.
I was thinking, Terry, tall people are not terribly suited to sidecars. There are not that many tall, lanky fellas involved, especially the sidecar passengers.
Especially the passenger, yeah, especially the passenger. But I'd hate to go around the passenger around the TT, that's for sure. I mean, it must be so hairy.
And that's something that those Birchall boys bang in the middle of the picture at the moment. They haven't won a TT yet in 3 years of trying, and as I say, they've got together with Klaus Klaffenbach to form a new team, which, you know, and they intend to break that duck this year. I just hope they're safe while they're going about it. The World Sidecar Championship started with things that looked a bit different from this. Manx Nortons with sidecars bolted on the side, and the original dominant stars were British. Eric Oliver, the great Eric Oliver, won it on a Manx Norton in 1949, and in the chair was an amazing man called Dennis Jenkinson, a fabled motorsporting journalist who went on to become established in folklore, not only as a winning World Championship sidecar passenger, but the passenger to Stirling Moss when he won the Mille Miglia in a Mercedes-Benz in 1955. The late, great Jenks. Yes, he started out life as a sidecar passenger. It's surprising, in fact, how many people do. Another one who did was one of my heroes of the 1970s, 60s and 70s, Joseph Siffer, the Swiss Formula One racer and great sports car driver. He too started out life as a sidecar passenger. Wow. Strange where people come from, Terence. Strange.
Yeah, I guess you pick up the lines of being a passenger. A lot of these passengers will be ride bikes anyway, probably done a lot of racing anyway, you know, so they'll have a really good idea. Really know the importance of moving and shifting your weight around on the machine as well, because if they go into a turn and shift their weight too late, you know, the machine can tip up and the wheels come off the ground. And I mean, and you've got to be so fit to hold on to these sidecars. Well, you've had a go, haven't you, Jack? You've been in a passenger of a sidecar.
Steve Webster, the man who's won more world titles than any other, 10 world championships. I'm deeply indebted to the quiet Yorkshireman from Easingwold, because he took me on 2 laps round Silverstone. Mind you, they fit me in and locked my hands in certain positions and told me not to move, because obviously anything, if I did, it would all be wrong. So anyway, I was too terrified to move. So you just locked yourself in, hung on, and then Steve just treated you as kind of static ballast, and that meant he could go about his business. But I tell you what, when he got things warmed up on that second lap, it was a bit hairy, it was a bit greasy and damp, but flying into Stowe Corner at the end of the hangar straight amidst the spray of other outfits he was out braking was a hair-raising and wonderful experience.
I can imagine. I mean, it must have been great. Well, for you, I don't think I would like to have done it.
I loved it. I loved it. Steve Webster, of course, won his first title in 1987 with Tony Hewitt in the chair, won a hat-trick then. Then he came back and won again in 91 with Gavin Simmons, and then later with David James, and finally with Paul Woodhead, who was one of the fittest men I ever met. Paul Woodhead. Some of these lads to cling on and go through the antics they do, even on these kneelers, of course, because remember they kind of became kneelers after, I think, the last time there was a year in which everything tended to swap to these kneelers from the sit-up sidecar outfits that originally were, of course, because that's how motorcycle and sidecar combinations looked and still look on the road. BMW is still the most successful constructor, those 19 straight constructors titles from 1955 to 1973, the most by any single engine so far. On pole position then, we've got Team Suzuki Finland, Pekka Palverinta and Adolf Hani. Hani is Swiss, incidentally. There's the entertaining team Auto Moto Tertia of Philippe Lebal and Christian Chagnot. And I think we're getting a glimpse of them because they are the kind of Frenchies up there near the front. And they've got a Yamaha engine on. And we've got...
he's a bit of a tubby, actually, isn't he? He's no stranger to the fridge.
He's loving it. He's loving it, and the crowd are loving him. They've actually qualified in 9th place, which out of a field of 22 is pretty respectable.
Yes, it is respectable, yeah. I'll tell you what, they'll take my hat off to him.
And the outfit just looks brilliant, doesn't it? Very distinctive. Notice second from right how distinctive Tim Reeves' outfit is. He's a 3-time world champion. Wow, the lights, they didn't hold them for long, and Reeves got a flying start. But unfortunately, the number 26 outfit was so busy soaking up the applause, they forgot to start. Meanwhile, at the pointed end, there is swooping into Estoril, and we'll go right round the Grand Curb through Estoril onto the back straight, and with, I don't know how good a start Palverinta and Adolf Hani got off pole position. Certainly a flyer for Tim Reeves. He's in second place. Tim Reeves did get that distinctive dotted outfit straight through, coming off a victory when he held off the Birchall brothers last weekend at Brands Hatch in rather different conditions. So great start then for Tim Reeves, former world champion, of course, won his first world championship in 2005 on an LCR Suzuki. It's the #1 defending champions at the front, Pekka Palverinta and Adolf Hani of Switzerland and their LCR Suzuki. And straight away they're pulling a bit of a gap on the Flame Belgiuki. Wow, I'm just amazed that Adolf Hani's still in the business, never mind going like this. He always was extremely brave. So at the moment then, Palverinta and Hani have the lead for the Team Suzuki Finland outfit. They're going for a hat-trick of championship wins. And they join some great names if they manage to achieve that. Second place for Tim Reeves and Ashley Hawes. But they've got to... Whoa, lock it up, why don't you? That's breaking uphill as well before skating around Chateau d'Eau, and then, I beg your pardon, they've come on to the start and finish straight. That's the first lap complete. First lap complete then for Pekka Palverinta and Adolf Hani. LCR Suzuki GSXR 1000.
And you see the leader going into the Grand Curb there. Actually, the wheel was lifting off the ground. That's probably about 130 miles an hour corner, and they're going around on 2 wheels all the way around it.
Tim Reeves and Ashley Hawes still there in second place. Number 16 in 4th place, Ben and Tom Birchall. Oh, and look at the number 30. Oh, the number 39 outfit there of Jörg Steinhausen and Frenchman Gregory Cluse, just on their BMW outfit, just about squeezing up the inside, but in fact losing out because round the outside came that outfit of the Birchall brothers. So the Birchall brothers squeezed through there, and now they're attacking Tim Reeves. Tom Birchall did say at the end of the race at Brands Hatch last weekend that he felt that they were pretty much matching the pace of Tim Reeves, and here they are in cleaner conditions with a chance to prove the point. So the 2 British teams now running 2nd and 3rd. Both, of course, former world champions, because in 2009 the Birchall boys in that distinctive red and white outfit became world champions on their LCR Suzuki. So we've got 4 world championship winning teams running up front at the moment. The battle for second position, Tim Reeves, Steinhausen, Birchall's. At the moment it's Reeves, Birchall, Steinhausen, with the Suzuki of the Finnish driver Palverinta running up front. Pavarinta running at the front then, the battle on for second place. And at the moment, Tim Reeves has that advantage. But only just. Look at the Birchall boys on that Yamaha R1 Screamer coming round the outside and slotting into second place. So the Birchall racing team, backed by Mitchells, moves through to second place. They weren't able to do that in the spray and the hideous wet conditions of the afternoon of Brands Hatch in the second race in the British Sidecar Series last weekend. But they've managed it this time. So through to second place comes Ben Birchall, Tom in the chair. Behind him, Tim Reeves and Ashley Hawes. Behind them, York Steinhausen and Gregory Clues in their BMW-powered machine, just hanging on as they did last weekend. Outfit number 39, they finished in third place in that second race behind the two British outfits. And a move there on Tim Reeves by York Steinhausen. He must have learned that one from his dad, but he's run awfully wide as they head down underneath the Dunlop Bridge. Does he hang on to it? Oh, just by a hair's breadth as they drop downhill. But he's locked it up under braking and he's left the door open. In goes Tim Reeves. Does he go too wide as they come into the complex through the Lycée? He just has to let the British outfit through. So Tim Reeves and Ashley Hawes move back into third place. The lead at the moment held by Pekka Pavarinta and Adolf Hani on the LCR Suzuki GSXR 1000. And they've got a little bit of a distance on this battle that's now developing for third place. This is how Tim Reeves made a move back on York Steinhausen. Steinhausen locks it up on the way down into the Complex de Lycée. For a moment it looks like he's grabbed the advantage back, but no, Tim Reeves has it. 77, Tim Reeves battling with York Steinhausen. Ahead of them, Ben and Tom Birchall running in second place and just beginning to escape. Great British tradition to uphold, of course, in this World Sidecar Championship Series. Tim Reeves, world champion in 05 and 06, and again the hat-trick with Frenchman Patrick Ferrand in the chair in 2007. But what a dominant performance by this pairing, Pavarinta and Adolf Hani. So impressed with the Hani is the fact that Hani's still out there doing this and doing it so well. So the Team Suzuki Finland outfit leads the way. Second place for the Birchall racing team of Ben and Tom Birchall. Again, locking up down that steep hill into the Complex de Lycée, through the final chicane on to the start and finish straight. Another lap complete for the reigning world champions. Second place for Birchall, third for Tim Reeves, fourth place for York Steinhausen. I may have been a bit rash in contributing a world championship, of course, to Jorgi Steinhausen. I might have been really kind of mixing him up with his dad. It could be that it was the great Rolf that was the man who won world championships for the Steinhausen family. There's the battle going on for third place between Team Reeves and York Steinhausen. Rolf Steinhausen, world champion in 1975 and 76. He's a scary man as well. No wonder Jorg looked a bit scared as a younger fella when he had his dad round in his pit box. The lead still held by Pekka Pavarinta. He's pretty much got away now from the second place Birchall brothers, and then this battle for third. Terrific conditions here, much more beautiful conditions than we expected to see. York Steinhausen, who earlier in his career had the Englishman Trevor Hopkinson as his passenger, comes from Numbrecht in Germany. Became German sidecar champion back in 1997. We look at the Birchalls right now, Ben and Tom, who'll be doing the TT with Klaffenbach in a new team, the Cofane racing team by Claffey. helped by the engineering department at the University of Leicester with virtual wind tunnel tests to improve their bodywork and slipstreaming, getting their maximum performance out of that outfit at the Isle of Man. It looks pretty good now, I've got to say. pretty clued in looking body shape.
Yeah, the Birchells are flying, aren't they?
The Birchells have certainly pretty much consolidated that second place, I think. As long as they don't make any mistakes, they're solidly in second place. The battle really on for the final rest-up slot.
I think if they got a better start, they would have been ding-donging for the lead with the lead runners at the moment. But,
that's right. In third place, Tim Rees, he really got a flyer, didn't he? He looked like he really did himself a huge favour when he burst out of the block. So Ben and Tom Birchall there in second place. Germany and Great Britain, of course, have a terrific history in this championship series. Steve Webster is the most winning world champion so far, but these guys have that 2009 title on their LCR, well, what was an LCR Suzuki that they won on. They're now on this Screamer R1 Yamaha engine, and it certainly seems to be doing the job for them pretty effectively. I mentioned the Birchells working with the engineering department at the University of Leicester. Louis Christen has made a special new LCR chassis in Switzerland, and engine tuner Chris Mayhew has been working on a Honda engine for them, specially for the TT. So they'll be swapping that elderly Yamaha R1 for a Honda for the TT. Yeah, Chris Mayhew, he does a lot of work on stuff.
Yeah, he does. He builds. He's worked for me a couple of times actually. When I was working at Norton, racing with Norton years ago in '92, and builds a fantastic engine. Used to work for Roger Burnett, all of the top riders, you know, Roger Marshall, all the boys, and used to work with Rothman's Honda as well, I believe. So, yeah, Chris is a great guy, really talented engine builder.
So he presumably knows quite a bit about Honda engines specifically.
Yeah, specifically Honda, yeah.
So, no excuses for the Birchall boys when they get to the island then. The project leader at the University of Leicester Engineering Department is actually a lady, Professor Sarah Hainsworth, and she said that they're just trying to improve the aerodynamics of the outfit. To quite an interesting idea to get them on board and see what detailed changes can be made, because traditionally, although these outfits look very beautiful nowadays, it's been very much a home-built suck it and see job when you stick the bodywork on.
Yeah, I think that more so now. You can see the way these bikes are prepared, sidecars are prepared. They're actually all locking up there, just going into the fast left hand. You see the wheel just lifting off the sidecar there. Yeah, I guess that the Birchells will need a really aerodynamic bike at the TT, especially because it's so much top speed there. I can't. Yes. You know what? I still can't get over it. I can't imagine anything worse for me than being on a passenger going around the TT in one of these sidecars. Even riding it would just frighten the life out of me. You're so low, and it must be a lot more difficult to ride the TT when you're at that low compared to a motorcycle. When you're high, you can see some of the brows of the heels. So I've just remembered that when I'll come to you in a moment on this as we watch the leading outfit dropping into the final complex to complete another lap. When Klaus Klaffenbach was close to winning the World Championship and constantly getting thwarted by Steve Webster, his ambition then was to drive the TT, and this really? I couldn't understand. I just simply kept saying to him, Claffy, why would you want to do that? It just seems to me to be the most dangerous. His eyes would light up. The TT, yes, I want to. And now, of course, he's a 3-time winner. He's become a bit of a hero over there. And I tell you, he ran a wonderful World Superbike team, Hondas, that brought Max Neukirch to prominence. The Claffy Honda team. That's right.
He's also run. He's also run very high-quality hospitality services for teams in the World Superbike paddock. He's a really urbane, cultured Austrian, and you wonder why he'd want to be tearing around the TT course on a sidecar, but it's his absolute passion. The other thing I've just remembered is that his passenger, when he was constantly being thwarted in his search for the World Championship, was Adolf Harney. And when he finally changed partners, here's Harney now on board with the championship winning machine. Sorry, we just glimpsed him for a moment then. As soon as he changed partners, got Christian Partzer into his passenger seat, lo and behold, he won the championship. And poor old Adolf had moved to a different team. And that's what I mean about the fact I never thought he was actually going to have that look that would bring him a world title. So I'm rather pleased he finally did.
Well, that sort of thing can happen in the world endurance as well. I know this is sidecars at the moment, but if you're in the wrong team at the wrong time, you could be a number 2 rider and get changed teams, and then the number 1 rider in the old team can win the championship without you, So, or if you miss a race because through injury, you can lose the championship then. So you've got to be very careful. But the Birchells look like they're starting to slide around quite a lot. Actually, they're starting to drop back from the leaders, and you just see there just sliding around. Just notice they're laying big black lines everywhere.
And in fact, the gap is shrinking between them and Tim Reeves and Ashley Hawes. So are the Birchall boys all right? Are they in good nick here? Have they got enough rubber in reserve? Because also York Steinhausen's being towed along by Tim Reeves, so they're both closing the gap on the second place number 16 outfit. Yeah,
Tim Reeves definitely catching there. Maybe the Birchalls were pushing way too hard, trying to catch a leader and cook their tyres a bit. See the passenger just tucking in behind the fairing there, really getting down low. It is very slippery shape, actually, isn't it?
It is superb design, isn't it? You wonder how it could get any better than that. Perhaps the University of Leicester have already been doing some work on the model of this particular one, and this is practice being put into. But one of the intriguing things is that how much the passengers extend that left leg, and you get a foot sticking out behind the. You wonder what's hanging off the outfit, and you realise it's an ankle and foot sticking out. Now, what's he doing? Why is he pointing? Why was Tom pointing then? Something's not right here. So the Birchalls weaving round, still in second place. Here is the immaculate leader. There is Adolf Hani. I mentioned the fact that he was with in 2000 and 1999 and 2000 he rode with Klaus Klaffenbach. They got beaten each time by Steve Webster and David James in 1999, by Steve Webster and Paul Woodhead in 2000. And strangely enough, York Steinhausen finished second in 2000 with Christian Partzer on board. Partzer then popped into Klaus Klaffenbach's outfit and probably won the championship. That was Claffey's only World Championship win. But Hani, there he is on the right-hand side of those two, and obviously I wouldn't say been dismissed, but he'd moved on to a different team by that time.
Hani's really got. You've really got to be. You'd be able to move around a lot on the.
And we've got a red flag. We've got a red flag out. I think that was what Tom Birchall was referring to here.
Okay.
There was certainly a red flag there, and suddenly these guys saw it, and Hani's arms went up, his fist is clenched. That would mean that they have won the opening round of the World Sidecar Championship. They're looking to become one of the teams that win 3 times on the trot.
Oh.
Tell you what,
That's the French boys, isn't it?
It is. He may be a big fella, but he's
quite supple.
He's quite supple, isn't he?
Either that or he's lost his crash helmet.
That was Christian Chagnot was the man who was performing those fabulous antics. So the Team Suzuki Finland, LCR Suzuki of Pekka Päivärinta and Adolf Hani, that is a Finnish-Swiss combination, have won the first round in the defence of their championship and their attack on the 2012 title. And they would, were they to win 3 in a row, they'd join some great names like Steve Webster, like Egbert Struer, like Eric Oliver, Rolf Biland, who've won more than the one championship, indeed won 3 or more on the trot. But to win that hat-trick, that's what they'll be after, because Päivärinta and Hani were world champions of 2010, 2011. But a great start by Ben and Tom Birchall in second place, and by Tim Reeves in third. Birchall racing there, the all-British combo finish in second place. And York Steinhausen there eventually had to settle for 4th. Number 77, Tim Reeves, with Ashley Hawes on board, finished in 3rd with their Paget's-backed outfit.
And the Steinhausen BMW looks really nice in the old BMW colours.
Yes,
it's quite retro, actually, isn't it?
It does, yes.
Yeah, it looks good.
rather like what his dad might have been racing, or even what the great Germans of the 1950s and 60s, one of whom, Max Deubel, is still very much around on the scene because he's been an FIM steward for many years at World Superbike meetings and World Sidecar meetings. He, of course, was a 4-time World Sidecar champion in the 1950s, and he still has the most terrifying, piercing, pale blue eyes as well. You know you're dealing with a man who means business when you come across Max Deubel.
That's right. I've had to deal with him a couple of times when I've been in trouble.
Oh, have you?
Yeah. And when there's been a bit of a contretemps on the track.
And how has he dealt with you? Has he dealt with you fairly?
Very fair, very fair. Yeah, nice guy, really.
I think he's an absolute gentleman.
Yeah, real gentleman.
Max Deubel, he was 12 times a World Sidecar race winner between 1961 and 1965, and still very much part of the paddock. So Reeves and Hawes look pretty pleased with that. So too do the Birchells, having swapped positions after their dramatic race in the rain at Brands Hatch just a week ago. Well done, fellas. That was the first round then of the World Sidecar Championship here at Magny Cours. Welcome back to a beautiful afternoon at Magny Cours. We've still got the 76th Ball d'Or in prospect. The 24-hour World Motorcycle Endurance Race kicks off the 2012 World Endurance Championship season at 3 o'clock this afternoon. And the weather conditions are as sweet as they've been all weekend and throughout qualifying, really, Tal. This is really looking promising for the weekend. Yeah,
fingers crossed. We don't want to see any rain because the circuit is very cold, and the circuit's going to be really slippery. So fingers crossed it's going to be sunny and stays warm. The only problem is, in the evening, it could start getting really cool, going below 0 degrees. Then we're in big problems.
But these guys enjoyed the best of the weather. That's the winning outfit of Pekka Pavarinta and Adolf Hani. The third place outfit on the far side there belongs to Tim Reeves and Ashley Hawes. Second place, splitting the two of them, were the Birchall brothers. All of them, of course, world champions at different times. In fact, pretty much they're the only people who've been world champions since Tim Reeves took his first title in 2005. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 7 years of these guys who are at the front here having been world champions at different times. Tim Reeves already has that hat-trick of back-to-back titles in 05, 06 and 07, and now Pekka Pavarinta and Adolf Hani are looking to do the same in 2010, 11 and 12. So they've certainly made the perfect start. It's strange going back, just looking back a bit. In 1974, the first two-stroke win at the German Grand Prix in a Sidecar World Championship race, and that was achieved by Werner Schwarzel, who was a great engine tuner who tuned Honda engines in 250 motocross Grand Prix for Pit Beyer in the late 90s. Really quick German rider who now is boss man at KTM motorcycles. And Pit Beyer had these rocket ship Palmo Hondas tuned by Werner Schwarzel. And then 1999, Steve Abbott and Jamie Biggs, they were the last two-stroke winners of a World Championship round at Brands Hatch, and suddenly the whole thing had gone all the way back to these big kind of superbike-based four-strokes.
It's funny, whenever I see an outfit going round, I expect it to sound like a two-stroke.
Yeah, same here.
It's like when they started off of the race there, and I just thought, that just doesn't sound quite right in four-stroke. It's weird. I suppose being brought up as a youngster, seeing all the two-strokes, they were all two-strokes then, the sidecars,
Tim Reeves, right of picture there, is a bit of a neighbour of yours, Terence. He comes from Bethersden in Kent, down beyond Maidstone.
Nice part of the world. A friend of mine lives in Goudhurst, actually, just up from there, and it's beautiful around there.
Yes, very near there, yeah. Incidentally, it was in 2003 when he was just 29 that Tim and Tristan Reeves, they appeared on the World Superbike, the World Sidecar scene for the first time in 03, and he was one of the bright young things, still in his 20s, which is quite rare for a World Sidecar racer. But within 2 years, of course, he'd won that first championship. Here he is, Tim Reeves, and I think he's looking happy enough about it, he and Ashley Hawes, but I reckon they could have been taking a sniff at second place if that race had gone on.
You're probably right, actually, yeah. The Birchells seemed to be losing the rear tyre there, didn't they? Yeah. Seemed to be, anyway. Whether it was just oil on the track, I don't know. Let's hope not. Let's hope not for the solos.
So Ben and Tom Birchall, backed by Mitchell, step onto the rostrum in second place for Birchall's racing team. and their Yamaha R1 Screamer, and then the victory for Pekka Päivärinta and Adolf Hani. And there's Adolf. He's still got the moustache. He's just a slightly beefier version and a greyer tash. Great to see Adolf Hani there. He's got less hair than he used to have 10 years ago, giving his rider a hug. And you know, it's a funny thing, motorsport and Finns. When Finns are good at a motorsport, they're absolutely outstanding. They tend to be, you know what I mean? They are at the top of the game, aren't they? And, and Päivärinta, he looked absolutely unstoppable. And look, he looks as cool, phlegmatic and unflappable as any of those top-line Finns who've struck in Formula One, in rally car driving, just completely phlegmatic, unflappable people. But that was a pretty dominant performance. Good third place for Tim Reeves and Ashley Hawes. They get their miniature ball doors, I think. Do those trophies look anything like small versions of yours, Terence?
Similar, yeah, similar. But the early one, the '92 version that I won with Fogarty and Hizzy, bless his soul, were quite different. Actually, were quite massive. And trying to get it back on the plane on the way home from the race was quite difficult without being noticed. Really, you know, I'd cover it up with my jacket because I just feel a bit flash walking down the plane with this bloody great big cup underneath your arm, you know. But
well, look, they're still modest size, though, even for the winners here.
Good to see two Brits on the 4 Brits on the podium as well, second and third. That's great.
Great start to the year. So Pekka Päivärinta and Adolf Hani take victory. Second place for Ben and Tom Birchall. Third place for Tim Reeves and Ashley Hawes. And typical, I remember this from my own snapping days. You've got to plead with them and say, excuse me guys, just get together please, I need a good photograph of you before you
look at me,
clear off.
Me.
Yeah. Look at me and look happy. I don't think there's any problem for that. That was a great victory then, a clear victory for Pekka Päivärinta and Adolf Hani, and good second places for second place for Tom Birchall, third place for Tim Reeves. 8 laps complete then for Team Suzuki Finland, ahead of Birchall Racing and Tim Reeves. Steinhausen 4th, Hawk Racing 5th, the Team Sand Seb 72 in 6th. A great Team Auto Moto Turcher came from the back to 7th place. That was a really impressive ride, considering they were the kind of clowns of the show. That was really quite astonishing, from starting dead last to 7th.
Yeah, he finished 7th place standing on his head. Easy.
Standing on his head, but having stood there waving at the crowd and let everybody else clear off in front of them. I mean, that was
quite cool.
I'd like to have seen some of the moves they were producing on that ZX-10R Kawasaki engine thing. Magny Cours, the internationals. Here's a quick look. There they are, enjoying the pre-race accolade. Marcus Schlosser, he disappeared. The Rabbit fan was happy about things. Tim Reeves was enjoying the general atmosphere and ambience, and it inspired him to a terrific start. But these poor lads, they'd stalled it, and they started absolutely clap last. Number 1 at the front then. Pekka Päivärinta and Adolf Hani on the Team Finland LCR Suzuki GSX-R 1000, locking up as they go down into the complex, but looking pretty clear at the front. Tim Reeves, initially from that storming start, held second place until the Birchall boys flew by. And then Tim got embroiled in a battle with Jörg Steinhausen and Gregory Clues. but he just hung on as they went through that final chicane, towed the German along after that, while Birchall got egged on. No problem for Paverinter and Hani at the front. Beautiful flame-belching GSXR 1000 engine. Hani moving smoothly around the chair, not upsetting the outfit. And then in the closing stages, number 16, Birchall, beginning to get caught again by Tim Reeves and York Steinhausen. And it looked as if we might get a bit of a battle developing once again for second place. But then we had problems out on the track. The red flag went out and the positions were settled 8 laps in. So an exultant Adolf Hani punches the air in front of the crowded grandstands at the end of the back straight. The Birchall boys probably quite relieved to get that second place. Third place for Tim Reeves and Ashley Hawes. And a brilliant 7th place for the headless man in the number 26 outfit. Sorry, give him a name check, Christian Chagnot. Adolf Hani there near a camera, the man in the passenger seat. So Pekka Paverinter and Adolf Hani make the perfect start to the defence of their title. I think they're going to be up and at it for 2012, and possibly we're going to join some of those other great names like Rolf Biland, Steve Webster, Egbert Stroh, Max Deubel and Eric Oliver as 3-time winners, hat-trick winners of the World Sidecar Championship. So the conditions looking really delightful for this afternoon's 76th running of the Bol d'Or 24-hour endurance race. Talking of which, I wonder how many people have won that 5 times. Terrell, are you alone in that? How many people have actually won the Bol? No, Vincent Philippe's done 7 now, hasn't he?
He's done 7, yeah, but not on the old track, I hasten to add. I used to race, I won the last race at the Bol d'Or when it was at Paul Ricard. That was the very last race in 1999, and then it moved across in 2000 to Magny Cours, and that's when I packed up, really. Not because of that, but I've got to say that there was nothing like going to Paul Ricard. We'd always have a day off on the Wednesday to be able to go and down to the beach, and one of the French guys normally had a big speedboat. We go out and on that as well on the day off, you know, fantastic, and then have a bit of a mini break, as it were, then do your 24-hour race at the weekend. So yeah, brilliant place, and I think a lot of the British still love riding down there, and you know, beach resort, beautiful place, south of France. What more can I say? You know, beautiful women everywhere. I mean, not that I looked because I was married, but yeah, fantastic place. It would be great to go back there again one day.
So you pretty much, so did you, but you raced Magny Cours, did you, at some point?
I have raced Magny Cours in World Superbikes.
In World Superbikes, of course.
Yeah, a few times, yeah. I finished, actually, funny enough, I've got a bit of a story about that. We'll go on to that later on. Me and Falapa had a bit of a contretemps, and that's one of the reasons why I had to go and see Max, actually, because
right, Max Deubel, the great.
At this circuit, because we had a bit of a punch-up in Parc Fermé afterwards.
I think we'll be coming back to this later on, Terence. It sounds like an entertaining little story.
It wasn't a real punch-up, it was a bit of a handbags at dawn job, you know. So, but yeah, it was quite funny.
Max Deubel, of course, I've already mentioned as being a great world champion back in the day in world sidecar racing. Won 4 titles between 1961, 62, 63 and 64. Did 4 on the trot. Klaus Enders was another hugely successful rider with 6 titles. Rolf Biland 7. Stevie Webster tops the table on 10. And it looks as if Pekka Paverinter and Adolf Hani might be becoming back-to-back 3-time winners of the World Sidecar Championship. But that's all from the sidecars here, and for the present, all from me, Jack Bernicle and Terry Reimer. We'll be back with you for the start, the build-up to the great Bol d'Or. Join us again, please. 1:30 UK time. See you then.